But the things that you're hearing is only the sound of the low spark of high heel boys. Steve Winwood and Traffic.
Fuck you! I'm trying to help you, motherfucker!
Okay, here we go.
Fuck you! I never brushed my fucking teeth! Don't you fucking know that? Fuck you, sir! You motherfucking accuser of the fucking brethren, you motherfucker! Shut the fuck up! Shut the fuck up, bitch! Fuck you! I'm trying to help you, motherfucker! You all better repent! Fuck you, sir! Get the fuck out of here! Fuck you! I never brushed my fucking teeth! Don't you fucking You motherfucking accuser! Shut your fucking mouth! Accuser of the fucking brethren, you motherfucker!
And now,
here's a guy who has never won a congeniality award at any radio station anywhere. I will fight you in the streets. It's the Eric Zane Show podcast with your host, Eric Zane.
Well, thank you, Johnny. Hey, Johnny. What's going on? The Eric Zane Show Patreon bonus podcast. Right back at it after another successful free one. You know, you're all in the running for free carpeting, free flooring from Bennett Flooring Installation. If you're on Patreon, you're in the running for the drawing. So thank you. That happens in April. Don't forget about Smarter Than a Former Drug Dealer Trivia. It's back next week. If you want to play Dale for $25, courtesy of Bennett Flooring Installation, you got to reach out to me, Eric at ericzaneshow.com, to let me know that you want to play, okay? Actually, Pete is going to play next. Pete Schreer. I just cannot figure out how to pronounce that name. S-C-H-R-E-U-R. So S-C-H, that's the same spelling, first three-letter spelling as the word school. So would that be Schreer? Schreer. Schreer? Ugh. What a hideous last name. He will take on Dale and Smarter Than a Former Drug Dealer Trivia for that game coming up next week. Okay. I have some celestial excitement for you. Now, you might be like, oh, shit. It's like, no, fuck that. I demand that you appreciate these stories because of the significance beyond where we live to the rest of existence. To think that there is plenty of similar planets like ours, where there are people on them just like us, or maybe not like us, civilizations vast in their scope. That's the way it is. That is it. You know, years ago we had this egocentric view of existence that this is it. It's just us and no one else. But technology has proven that there are millions and millions of planets just like ours. We can't get to them. Now, this blows my mind. The fact that me, an overfed, long-haired, leaping gnome, could be the star of a Hollywood movie. Eric Burden. I just encountered an article that says that scientists are baffled by signals that they are picking up from deep space. Radio signals from deep space. And they happen every 16 days, like clockwork. What happens is they start and they get radio signals for 4 days, and then they stop for 12, and then on the 16th day, they start again. for 4 more days. Off for 12, start again. Now, when I see that, when I read there's a radio signal repeating every 16 days from deep space, and it's baffling scientists. When I see that headline, I get chills. I'm like, okay, well, what's happened here is there is another civilization, like I just talked about, and they're trying to communicate with us. However, this clickbait headline may not be what it seems. Because when I hear a radio signal, I picture like, the hello, Earth. This is the Yodas, and we're trying to reach you. Are you there, Earth? That's what is happening in my mind. Or it's some type of communique. But that might not be the case, because I'm understanding that radio waves can happen from natural occurrences in the universe. This is strange to me. I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought radio waves were just radio waves. But so I learned something there. The thing, though, that does appeal to me, it's every time I can read something that kind of puts a fine point on the vastness of existence, the universe. This mysterious pulse that I was telling you about that is happening every 16 days originates from a galaxy that is 500 million light years away. So 500 million light years away. Now, what that means is if you wanted to reach there, if you wanted to get there, you would have to be able to travel at the speed of light for 500 million years. That gives you an idea of how far away this galaxy is. So the radio waves, it doesn't take 16 days for them to travel here. The radio waves we met when we first started encountering them, or have the ability to detect them, those radio waves are 500 million light years away. That means they would basically be traveling that distance. By the time we get them, let's just say, for the sake of this discussion, it was a guy named Yoda, 500 million light years away in a galaxy. And he said, "Hey, Earth, can you hear me?" By the time we hear it, it's going to be 500 million or more years, light years later. You see what I mean? It's like going back in time if you hear that message. So the messages that we're hearing every 16 days, yes, they keep coming, but they're from way back in the distant past. Whatever is creating them might not even be there anymore. Does that blow your mind? It should. And if it doesn't, you're an asshole, because I demand that you acknowledge how incredible that is. It pisses me off. And that's why I got an email from Cody the other day, and he goes, "I love it when you talk celestial excitement." And he said he always used to laugh his ass off when on my old show, I would sit there and try to explain this shit to those guys, and they would constantly beat the shit out of me when I would explain in detail things that I thought were interesting, which was my job, to come to the table with something interesting to talk about. And I'm never short of being able to talk about things. So I was like, yeah, hey, guys, I was just watching the special on quasars or black holes. And they're like, oh, shit, here he goes again. They used to always belittle me. And, man, I used to get so pissed off at that. It's like, how can you not acknowledge how amazing this is? This is incredible. Just yesterday, in fact, the United States, with a joint space venture with I forgot what other country they're doing it with, just launched a probe that is going to explore the sun. This is not easy business. I mean, I'll get back to that first story in just a second. Obviously, you start to get too close to the sun, you run the risk of, vaporizing. But they're going to do it. They've got a craft that is built to withstand quite a bit of punishment from the sun, and is going to get detailed data about our star. It's going to take like 2 years to get there to where they need to be. Now think about that. For it to orbit the sun at a safe distance, it's obviously going to be a lot closer than where we are now. It's going to take them 2 years to get to that point. Now that's just our own solar system. Think about that. The vastness, and they're traveling fast. Okay, not at the speed of light. There's nothing that we can make that travels at the speed of light, really, other than like a laser. But we can't travel at the speed of light. So anyway, this pulse, this radio pulse that's originating from the outskirts of this galaxy is very consistent. Scientists are saying it's a remarkable discovery, sure to delight any fan of the final frontier. Scientists have detected this deep space radio signal unlike anything ever found before. So when I'm reading this, I'm like, well, it's definitely Yoda. Pulsating signals from deep space are known as fast radio bursts, or FRBs. They've been captured by scientists before, but one signal studied by scientists behind a recent paper is the first ever to show a repeating periodic pattern. So when I see this, I'm like, well, they're sending a message, and the aliens are, and they're saying we're going to come and blow you up. And so I'm like freaking out when I'm reading this. Scientists at the Canadian Hydrogen Intensity Mapping Experiment Collaborations, or known as CHIME, Fast Radio Burst Project in British Columbia, determined that the mysterious signal follows the cyclical period. As I talked to you about, 16 days. A mystery as to what it is. They don't know. They have theories, but nothing like firm or concrete. Some are suggesting that it could be what's known as a pulsar, which is a collapsed star. So the story gets a lot less tantalizing when you realize that it could be a natural thing that is occurring. There are a number of possibilities as to what might be causing the periodic signal. For one, the source could be a star or black hole, since they also demonstrate periodic characteristics. The 16-day cycle might be the object's orbital period in which the FRB signal reaches toward Earth at a certain time during its orbit. Let's see. The source of the strong signal could also be coming from a stellar mass black hole or from a lone object such as a pulsar, which is a super dense remnant of a collapsed star that has gone supernova. So star explodes and there's still a mass that is there afterwards. Not nearly as hot, but does have energy. And that could be what is happening. It emits radio signals from hot spots on its surface as it spins, acting a lot like the beacon of a lighthouse. So that might be it. So that, again, I see this and I'm like, oh my God, it's the big one. The aliens are coming. Not so. Might not be the case, but still neat. All right. I did not get to this yesterday, and I probably should have, but it's okay now because there is some backlash to the story surrounding the Oscars. Joaquin Phoenix is a kook, and he has been since he was young. His mom and dad are kooks. He's a kook, incredibly bright, talented actor, but insane. And on his acceptance speech, he actually seemed more insane than the character he played for the film that he won an award in for the Joker. He gets up on stage and goes on a long, rambling, weirdo thing about how difficult he is to work with, how we need to stop cancel culture, which is like, going back in someone's tweets and saying, okay, this person said this 5 years ago, they should lose their job. He goes off on that. He goes off on a number of things, but what he really parked on, what a lot of people remember, was this bullshit craziness about cows and taking the calf from the mom, and the mom is sad, and we shouldn't drink milk. Seriously, I'm going to play it for you right here. Well, he pissed one group of people off, and they handled it expertly with facts. This piece of shit doesn't know anything. He's completely tied in with PETA. He won some stupid award from those terrorists in 2019. He's known to like I think he's even gone against like the wool industry because he said it's sad for the sheep to get its wool, it's whatever the wool sheared off of it to make clothes. He doesn't wear any clothing made from any animals. It's all synthetic. However, for the film Walk the Line, he did wear leather shoes. And he actually said that he felt bad about that. So he does kind of walk the walk to some degree, but he's insane. Check this shit out.
And the Oscar goes to Joaquin Phoenix Joker.
This is the first Oscar and fourth nomination for Joaquin Phoenix.
Hi. So,
He goes, what's up?
God, I'm full of so much gratitude.
And you got to understand, he's way weird and uncomfortable and jerky and zero presence. Okay. He's displaying no aptitude for speaking to this group of people. He's fidgety. He's all jacked. And you would think that someone so trained would have the ability to carry on a normal conversation that is not a rambling shit show, which is what this was.
No. And I do not feel elevated above any of my fellow nominees or anyone in this room.
It's all breathy,
because
weird.
We share the same love, the love of film. And this form of expression has given me the most extraordinary life. I don't know what I'd be without it.
Well, you'd be,
but I think the greatest
you'd be a weirdo who's not filthy rich. That's what you'd be without it.
Gift that it's given me, and many of us in this room, is the opportunity to use our voice for the voiceless. I've been thinking a lot about some of the distressing issues that we are facing collectively. And I think at times we feel, or we're made to feel, that we champion different causes. But for me, I see commonality. I think whether we're talking about gender inequality or racism,
Here we go.
or queer rights, or indigenous rights, or animal rights, we're talking about the fight against injustice. We're talking about the fight against the belief that one nation, one people, one race, one gender, or one species has the right to dominate, control.
Species is the key word. I've talked to you about that the PETA kooks oftentimes use speciesism. It's a term they made up. That because we like steak, we're engaging in speciesism.
Use and exploit another with impunity.
Someone's like, yeah, words. Yeah, words. Fight the fight. Don't do shit about it. Just talk like a crazy man. That's what he's doing.
Yeah.
Words. Yeah.
I think that we've become very disconnected from the natural world.
Okay, this is where it really gets off the rails. We get disconnected from the natural world. He's all breathy and stupid.
I think that we've become very disconnected from the natural world.
Listen to him.
And many of us, what we're guilty of is an egocentric worldview, the belief that we're the center of the universe. We go into the natural world and we plunder it for its resources. We feel entitled to artificially inseminate a cow. And when she gives birth, we steal her baby, even though her cries of anguish are unmistakable. And then we take her milk that's intended for a calf and we put it in our coffee and our cereal.
I'm going to pause that and I'll continue in a second. But put a pin in that because that pissed off like some of the brightest dairy farmers in the world today. And one in particular wrote a letter to him immediately, like rat-a-tat-tat. And I'm going to read to you that letter from this dairy farmer with that scathing indictment that this piece of shit just said. Zero accuracy about ripping the calf away and mama's crying and We take her milk that is intended for the calf, and the all bullshit. That is all bullshit what he just said, and I'll get to that in a second.
I think we fear the idea of personal change because we think that we have to sacrifice something to give something up. But human beings at our best.
This guy cares more about that calf than he does like a human baby. You know, he's one of these left-leaning kooks who's all about, yeah, go ahead and murder your baby. I'm okay with that, though.
Are so inventive and creative and ingenious. And I think that when we use love and compassion as our guiding principles, we can create, develop, and implement systems of change
You hear that? Hollywood famous guy is telling us how to love people. Thanks, man. I had no idea.
Beneficial to all sentient beings and to the environment. Now, I've been a scoundrel in my life. I've been selfish. I've been cruel at times.
Which makes everything you've said prior to this pointless.
Hard to work with and ungrateful, but so many of you in this room have given me a second chance. And I think that's when we're at our best, when we support each other, not when we cancel each other out for past mistakes, but when we help each other to grow, when we educate each other, when we guide each other towards redemption. That is the best of humanity.
Words. I love words. Words are great.
I want to, when he was 17, my brother wrote this lyric. He said, "Run to the rescue with love and peace will follow." Thank you.
Shut your fucking mouth, bitch! Shut the fuck up! Fuck you, sir! Fuck you! I'm trying to help you, motherfucker!
So, farmers respond to Joaquin Phoenix's anti-dairy Best Actor accepted speech. Boy, that's crazy. That's probably the first time in history a guy wins Best Actor and goes after dairy farmers. They're all like, "What? Sorry, we're late to the party because we were working, so we didn't see it when it happened." But one in particular is taking Joaquin Phoenix, who is a great actor, and I'll always go and see great actors' movies. I'm not a stupid ass who says, "I'm going to boycott you." No, he's a great actor. I would have liked him more if he would have just said, boy, I'm lucky. Thank you so much. There's a lot of great people in my life that have made this happen. And on and on and on, instead of lecturing me about milk, you asshole. Who the fuck do you think you are? Whew. This article from USA Today, somewhere between referencing the fight against injustice and recalling his late brother's plea for love. Joaquin Phoenix spent a chunk of his Academy Award acceptance speech going after dairy farmers. On Monday, dairy farmers pushed back. You should get out of Hollywood for a while. Dairy farmer Carrie Mess from Lake Mills, Wisconsin, wrote on her blog, "The natural world isn't there. It's out here, and it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood." Phoenix, who on Sunday night took home the Best Actor award for Joker, used his speech to rip on the dairy industry. It quotes him, that what you just heard. Goes over the article, has the whole quote of what he said. And it didn't go over well with dairy farmers, who would have been happier if he had just jumped to the part where he acknowledged, quote, "I have been a scoundrel." The dairy farmer writes what actually happens to the calf. A newborn calf is taken from its mother about 20 minutes after its birth, but it's for the calf's own safety. Wisconsin dairy farmer Tina Hinchley told the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, part of the USA Today network, if that mom had manure on her, that would risk that calf. our best genetics on the farm, getting contaminated with salmonella, E. coli, or listeria, along with tetanus and all the other stuff that hangs out on the farm as well. Instead, the calf is given what's known as colostrum from its mother and is then bottle fed with a milk replacement formula. Milk Replacer is the best baby formula you can get. It's powdered milk with all of the vitamins and nutrients that a calf needs. It's much better. As for the cries of anguish, Hinchley said, she's going to move for that calf a little bit, but she's not charging at us or anything. It's almost like, woo-hoo, the babysitter is here. Now I can eat. And that is what she needs to do. For thousands of years now, cows have been bred to produce milk for people. Today's modern dairy cow isn't all that maternal. Carrie Mess said, occasionally we will have a cow that shows a little more maternal instinct, but it's pretty rare. Mess's blog is called Dairy Carrie, stemming from her experiences as a farmer. Monday, on her blog, she wrote an open letter to Phoenix and took a shot at the actor's supposed connection to the, quote, natural world. Part of it says, Joaquin, you don't need to drink milk. You don't need to use or consume animal products. I respect your beliefs, but understand that there is no one more connected to the natural world than the farmers who are out here in the places you've never heard of, caring for the land and tending the animals. We've been sustainable and green since long before it was cool. Phoenix has spoken out against the wool industry as being cruel to the sheep. To protest fishing, Phoenix has, quote, drowned to show how fish typically suffer in their last moments of life. Holy shit. The PETA, those terrorists say on its website, a vegan since he was a child. Phoenix was PETA's 2019 Person of the Year. If you were to read about the Phoenix family, excuse me, the whole family is kooks. River is the only one who made out early. He checked out when he was 19, and I wouldn't be surprised if he was like, oh, thank God I'm away from this bunch of animals. Nielsen estimates 23.6 million people watch the Oscars, which makes dairy farmers cringe at the harm that Phoenix's remarks could have as more consumers turn to soy milk, almond milk, and other dairy alternatives. Let's see. We have a free country with freedom of expression, but we do wish that Joaquin Phoenix would talk with us rather than at us. And he was talking at them, because if he did, he would learn a lot about the commitment that dairy farmers have for animal welfare, said Alan Jirga, spokesman for the National Milk Producers Federation. This isn't, see, you pissed off all the milk people, you cocksucker. This isn't the first time he has made remarks like this, but it gets more prominence because it was in an Oscars speech. What a dick. What an asshole. These Hollywood types, man, I tell you, absolutely ridiculous. All right, let's see what we got over here. The Toe says, wow, he needs to quit the drugs. Okay. Stevie also follows that up with, remember when Oprah said she was going to stop eating beef? Beef farmers went nuts. Yeah, that's you're affecting their livelihood. I think they sued her, right? Brian says, if others stop eating meat, more for me. All right. So there you go. That's what's kind of burning on my brain right now. Limited engagement show. Well, we went about almost 30 minutes, so I guess that's not too bad. But off and running. I have to be on the road, getting ready to go to work in just a handful of minutes. But I appreciate you being part of this stripped-down version of the Eric Zane Show podcast for today. Thanks again. I'll have it more for you tomorrow. I'm going to skip Dear Meathead tomorrow. After this week, it's totally back to normal. Thank God. Blame the folks at Affordable. You folks are the best. I appreciate you checking this podcast out. More tomorrow. Thank you.